And yeah, so as I was saying, the Salon, we would usually be hosting this event in Kulturschöpfer in Berlin, and they have this really large living room space. Hello, whoever that was. They have a large living room space, and usually this event would be taking place there with artists coming up and presenting their stuff. Everybody probably at the end of a working day, feeling super tired, chilling out, having a glass of wine, nibbling some nibbles. So with that in mind, you are, of course, more than welcome to have a drink or have a nibble as we go. I myself, I'm having a gin and tonic. Oh wait, no, sorry, it's a gin and soda. I'm trying to be somewhat British. So drinks are totally allowed. Of course, it's bring your own beer, bring your own booze. And yes, allow me to introduce our artists for today. We have 3 artists from Berlin, based in Berlin, I should say. Alice Kahei Yu, who I know personally from a project at the end of the year where we did some questionable digital online residency stuff between Berlin and Russia, Kaliningrad, Russia. Sandra Blatterer, who I have only just met, but I've seen her work physically, and she has an exhibition going on right now in Kulturschöpfer. And Phoebe Kim, who is our artist who came from the open call, who I'm super excited to invite today, whose work I just really connected with, and she has some really cool stuff to show with us today. So the session is going to run like this. We have 3 artists. Each of them is going to talk about their work and show us around their space. They are each in their artist studios right now, somewhere scattered around Berlin. And I think one of the very few positives of Zoom is that we can have people showing their work from their space. So yeah, I'd like to give each artist a massive round of applause, and I hope you guys can welcome them. Alice, Sandra, and Phoebe, thank you very much for being with us. Yes, thank you very much. And starting us off is all the way from Prenzlauer Studio in Prenzlauer Berg, of all places. It's Alice. Alice, how's it going? We can't hear you. Can anyone hear us, Alice? No. Say something again, Alice.
Hi.
Hey, there she is.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Also, I suggest maybe going on to speaker view while we hear from each artist.
Okay, I'll get closer. Is that better?
That's better. I can see you. I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Let me know if you can't hear me. Yeah, I'm Alice, and thanks for inviting me. Good to see you again, Jeremy. And I'm at my studio. Is an artist collective and also a project space where I organize exhibition and workshops and different kind of programs related to art and culture and the neighborhood. And it's in Prenzlauer Berg on Finchstraße. Like every time when I mention my studio is in Prenzlauer Berg, I feel so ashamed. Like it sounds so privileged and posh, but this is not. This is not. It's not like that. I will explain it later.
You've infiltrated Prenzlauer Berg.
Yeah, exactly. I'm from Hong Kong, and I've been living in Berlin since a while, like 4.5 years, I think. And I initially studied in digital art in Hong Kong. And these years, I'm more focusing on oil painting and curating projects at this space. And which I should share my screen, I think. Okay, I will start introducing myself and to show you my work, and then I will show you guys the space.
Cool.
Yeah, how do I share the screen? Jeremy, do you know how to share the screen? Ah,
You got it?
okay, share.
To be fair, even if we were in the living room, we'd still be having issues with a projector. So it's basically the same.
Yeah, so you can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Should I hide it? Yeah, so I mostly do oil paintings, and my topics are mostly focusing on mental health, like how the differences between social classes can impact individuals or groups' mental and physical well-being. Like for instance, if someone they don't have access to education, or if they have been facing a lot of societal problems or challenges, maybe they would be diagnosed than other people who have access to these resources, something like that. And this series of paintings is called Sleeping People. I was doing studies about sleeping strangers that I met in the public transport, and I see the scene of paintings of their faces, which I can show you later. Which is back. And yes, so part of my artistic practice is oil painting, and on the other hand, I also make some art edition or publication, like this, which is here. Um, yeah, some publication that I collaborate with some publisher. This is called whole book. It's like a book that you can roll it, which I can show you here. I need to share this. Pause share. Yes. Can you see me now? Yeah. So this is a whole book, which you can. I collaborated with a publisher called Hobo. Is very direct, which is like they produce this kind of wooden box, and then they invite artists to make their prints or illustration, and it's like a 10 meters long paper, and you can roll it. So it's like a animation. Yeah, like this. And so this is it. And yeah, so that's
That was cool.
mainly.
Can we see that again? Maybe if you unshare the screen or go back to it, because that looks really cool.
Can you see me?
If you unshare there you go, cool.
Ah,
Yeah, because we didn't quite see it.
so yes, this is it. So this is the button that you can roll it like this. It's kind of difficult that I do it in this way. Wait. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so basically I do this kind of stuff and running this project space, and this year I'm a fellowship of NGBK, an art institution in Berlin, within a program called Weltoffenes. Is for artists or cultural workers that they want to stay in Berlin, but because their home country is having some political challenge, which is helping cultural workers to establish their career in Berlin within like it's initiated by the Berlin Senate. So this year I'm a fellowship of NGBK, and I'll be working on a research about exiled artists, activists living in Berlin. And at the end of the year, I'll publish an archive. And so this year I'm focusing on doing this research, and also, which I would show you now, is the window exhibition that is happening in this project space. And I need to switch. So to switch the, yes. So this is the project space I share with 6 artists, and in this room is the gallery space where I share with another
we can't see it at the moment. We can only see your name.
I joined it with another.
Oh, someone else can see it.
Yeah, I can see it. It's under Zoom user, not under Alice.
All right.
Yeah, because I joined it with my mobile phone.
All right. Ignore me, guys. You enjoy it.
Okay. I would leave from my computer, then maybe you can see me. Can you see me, Jeremy? Cool. Yeah, so this is the space. Probably some of you guys have been to here before, like Rachel and Jeremy and some other friends. And I share this space, this gallery space, with another artist called Clara. And she's a perfume or scent artist, and she experiments with smell. For example, if an artist, they have an exhibition and then they want to have a smell, and she would design the smell for the artist. And she also do workshops and collaboration with artists, and she would teach people how to design their own smell based on their stories. And so before Corona happens, we used to have a lot of workshops organized by her to learn how to make perfume, how to smell things, like not just like a perfume, like the traditional perfume or the idea of perfume that we have, but it's basically anything that has smell. And so this is the gallery space, and this is one of my paintings, which is quite one of my paintings. So there are 3 more rooms of this project space, which I share with other artists. And this is a painter room shared by 2 artists. One is from Brazil, one is from France. And so one of the artists will be leaving, and there will be an art therapist moving in, which she's also in this chat, Rachel. She's an art therapist, and she will be joining us from May. So I can't hear Jeremy. I think Jeremy muted himself, so it's so funny that he's just I don't know why he muted himself. But yeah, this is another room. But I feel a bit rude to show other people without a consent, so I was just like, this is another room. And she's like she's also an artist from Korea, and she is doing tattoo and also installation and sculptures, video art, quite multidisciplinary. And the biggest room is locked, unfortunately, and it's not my studio, so I can't show you, but it's by a French lady.
She does textile and product design. So this is everyone, and we also have an internship which she just left. And so then it's a bunch of bullshit like storage rubbish. Actually, there's a piano here that we used to have concerts and performances, but because of Corona, we can't do it anymore. So the storage room, bunch of stuff. And this is a toilet, which I'm very proud of because many people secretly took selfies in this bathroom, washroom, because I have put a lot of stuff in this toilet, a lot of posters and images and protest shit, like, you know, from Hong Kong. And I think many people are so familiar with this sticker. Maybe Jeremy has one as well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so let you enjoy the toilet a bit. You're more than welcome to come to use our toilet. And this is the kitchen, which we used to have a lot of food events like dinner, lunch. So we used a lot, and there is connected to the Hinterhof. I don't in English what is Hinterhof. The connection is not really good now.
Back garden.
Yeah, backyard. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the whole space. And yeah, so we still before Corona, we used to have no, I should continue the we're doing this window exhibition like so because we cannot do any activities right now, so I was thinking of doing a window project, which I always wanted to do it even before Corona, because like I personally not a fan of White Cube Gallery, because like we are located in the middle of a neighborhood. If there is like all of a sudden if there is like a White Cube, it's kind of awkward and not very welcoming for the neighbors, like because even like I personally we study art or we try to do art, I always have the pressure of going inside to a gallery, like maybe I'm not cool enough or I'm not artistic enough to walk into a White Cube, so I don't want to create such atmosphere, so I always want to make the space more cozy and more welcoming. So that's why I always want to have exhibition, but at the same time I want to have activities and events parallelly. So maybe window exhibition would be a nice idea. So this year I finally did it, which we are showing the first exhibition, and we built a platform here, and people can see the, oops, I locked myself. People can see the exhibition from outside, like they don't have to go into the space, but I hope you can. I'm still connected to the internet. So we're doing this.
Don't lock yourself out, Alice, please.
Oh no. Yeah, so yes, I plan not to show to you guys, and you guys must have to come to visit me. I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna let you guys to have a look like this, and then I would hide it. But yeah, but then so I did an open call in January, and we received more than 400 applications, which was insane. And wait, and then I selected 21 artists. I think 6 artists are from Berlin and the rest are from all over the world, mainly in Europe, and mostly sculpture and installation, and the rest are video art or digital art, because that they can send it to me and I can just handle it. They don't have to come, or if they can, they can come, but it's not necessary. So we just put on the first show, and each artist would exhibit their work on the window for 10 days. So it's like a year-long project. It will go until next year, I think. And yeah, I'm a very bad at presentation. Let me know if I missed something. Ask me anything.
I mean, I especially love the part about the toilet. No, that was awesome. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your work and for sharing your space. That was dope. Yeah, I think please everybody give Alice a round of applause. Thank you very much. That was awesome. Something very strange about listening to your own clap in like a group of 20. But I'll just have to accept that. Yeah, cool. We've got some time now to ask questions of Alice. If there was something that came up in her presentation that you wanted to ask her about or give comments on, this is the time to do that. If you would, you can raise your hand, or you could just fire out, or you could type it out in the chat, whatever you like. And yeah, Alice would be happy to answer any questions, or if you have something to say about her toilet, especially, this is the space to let her know. Yeah, I'd actually like to start if possible, because of course I know you, Alice, from our project. I was really happy to discover after I met you that I had already probably met you before, about 2 years previously, but I just didn't know about it because I'd been to Prenzlauer Studio for a art therapy workshop with Rachel, who's up here somewhere. There she is. She's the one with the crazy arms. And I thought that was really cool. It's one of those like kind of Berlin moments where you realize you've already met someone before, and having got to know you a little bit more, what I've been impressed about was how many projects you have going on from Prenzlauer Studio that are so community based on like strengthening the community and like gathering people together. And I loved the Wohnzimmer project, or the living room project, which is, I think, my absolute favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, the living room project was kind of insane because like I painted the whole studio into dark red, and like I basically moved most of my furniture to the studio, and created like a living room space, and curated a month-long project, invited different artists and initiatives to host different kind of activities like workshops, screenings, concerts, performances, and yeah, artist residency. So it was like a starting point of Prenzlauer Studio, because I found it very, like, as an Auslander, I found I experienced a lot of cultural shock in the beginning, like German are more shy than I thought, and then they were not really they were too shy to knock the door to go into the space, but then like the purpose of the space was to be public to the neighbors. So I was like, okay, then I would make a living room, and I would curate a series of activities to give them an excuse to come to the space. So yeah, that project was really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, dope. And there was a newsprint publication of it as well, right?
Yeah, I don't know where is it. Yeah, it's not in here, but you will see on our website.
Yeah,
We
cool.
give it to you.
I really love that project, and for the same reason, love the window project as well, which is all about giving people a space to present their work, and also having something in the community right now, especially during this weird time when you encourage art engagement, which is it seems to be something we're really lacking at the moment. And yeah, I think it's one of the strongest qualities of Prince Lau Studio, and I love it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I hope we can do it again, the living room project or whatever project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you'd had the idea of the window Fenster project before
Yeah.
Corona, or?
Yeah, before Corona.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I want to have exhibition, but at the same time I still want to have community projects. So I'm not willing to give up the whole space to just to have an exhibition to show one artist's artwork, which is very privileged and is a for me it's a waste of space because it's such a nice space. I should allow as many people as possible to come into here. So now it's kind of like in Cantonese we say one stone, two birds. like I can do this parallelly at the same time. So which is I'm glad.
Cool.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments or anything for Alice? You can just fire out and unmute yourself and ask a question if you like, or raise a hand digitally or in real life, or send me a message if you have any questions about her work. Any questions? Okay, cool. Oh, we got a wait. Someone's got a hand. What is that?
That's my hand.
Oh, yes.
I have a question. So did you always start with painting? Is that how you stemmed off, or were you always interested in like creating installations before?
No, I studied film and digital art in the beginning. Like I was doing, I was working on some documentaries, but then somehow I shifted to oil painting, and then somehow I shifted to curating and researching. So it's been changing a lot, but it's mainly oil painting and curating at the moment.
Thank you.
Are you balancing your fellowship at the moment with everything that's going on in Prince Lau Studio? Because it sounds like you're just always super busy.
Yeah, it's impossible to do it right now because like the fellowship program I proposed was to participate in different protests and to interview people and to like follow their activities and to do interviews, and but now it's super difficult. Like I can't meet people and there is no protest. Like there is protest, but there is not as many as before. And it's really hard to make connection because my main work is really rely on community, like people, physical interaction, but not virtually. I'm super bad with computer. I didn't even know how to share my screen on Zoom. Like, so how can I do it virtually? So like, yeah, so the corona makes, yeah, is really tough. But I know I'm glad that I'm in this program and be able to do a lot of stuff. So I would manage, I think.
Yeah, I think frankly, if you're in any way busy right now, you're doing well. So good
Yeah,
for you.
come to visit me.
I will.
At the next the promotion time, the next exhibition will be next Friday.
Cool. Yeah, I'll come and stand outside your window and have a look.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, awesome. If nobody else has any other questions, then thank you so much, Alice, for taking your time to show us your space. Give one more round of applause to Alice. Thank you very much. And yes, we're going to go on to our second artist. If you want to go and refill your gin and soda waters, feel free to do that. And we're welcoming Sandra Blatterer. Have I said your last name correctly? Cool. Yes, Sandra is currently exhibiting her artwork in a group show in Kulturschöpfer, who is the non-profit who usually hosts this event in their space in Friedrichshain. I actually saw Sandra's work last week or the week before. I popped my head into the gallery, and I was really impressed that there's this huge sort of, I don't know how do you describe it? Like, it's almost sci-fi type light installation. It looks like, I'm not sure what it looks like, test tubes and light stuff. I was immediately drawn to it and I wanted to ask questions. And then when I found out who it was, I was really happy that I already had Sandra on board for the Salon. So yeah, I would love to hear more about your work and what you're up to. Sandra, you're coming from Wedding, your studio in Wedding, right? We can't hear you.
Now, can you hear me?
Hey,
Yes.
you're in.
Okay, cool, nice. Yes, my studio is in Wedding, and originally I'm from Vienna, Austria. So, and yeah, I would love to talk a bit about the work in the exhibition space, what you saw.
Please do, yeah. I would love to hear more about it and talk about whatever you like. Tell us what you've been up to during lockdown and what projects have you been working on?
Yes, so this I'm basically interested in installations and specifically in light installations. And the one in this in the exhibition space is actually just the little sister of the whole installation.
Okay, so for reference, this took up a lot of space in the gallery. From my perspective, anyway, as I walked in, it was definitely the work that like caught my eye, and is, I don't know. Do you have a scale for how we can imagine it?
So I'm like super analog. I show you a picture. So it's like this. I don't know. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
So it's kind of 2 meter high actually, and yeah, the title is Together Alone, and I started with the work last year, like in springtime in the lockdown. I was used to work in huge collectives before and with other artists and artists from different fields, and suddenly I was like all of us alone. So I come from this collective to this solitude, and I was like thrown back to my own resources, which are basically a lot of lamps and a lot of neon tubes. So I started to create this installation, and together with a friend and his philosopher and dramaturg, I found new strategies of working. So through digital ways and walking outside, having a chat. And yes, we finally managed in August to show the work, like both objects in a very huge space here in Wedding. And that's the partner of the small one you saw. So it's
This is the big system.
That's the big one, yes. Yeah, and this is actually the story behind this installation at Green Hill Gallery. Yeah, it has a lot to do with identity for me, because it's my heart beat from last year. And yeah, I hope that people can see the installation and also experience it once, because my dream was that people could enter the space and really be with the objects in order to reflect on the time what we are living in. So this was my wish. And then I was, I could just invite a few people, let's say 32 for the whole huge installation on 200 square meters. But I'm happy that it's still traveling from one space to the other. Also that they're also working separately in different rooms together. That's also very nice. Yeah.
What was the space that you showed this piece in originally?
It's in Heizhaus Wedding. So there are this Uferhain Wedding, and on the opposite side we have like the university area of HZT, and they have like this huge building. And I got the opportunity from the PSR group to do my research work there and to test if this kind of installation works for me, for others. And it was great. It was really amazing to open the doors there. And I was so happy that I could show like the small cone in the Green Hill Gallery now. It was,
Cool.
So yes, that's the story of the big installation. I don't know, shall I show you around here in the studio a bit?
I would love to see your studio.
Okay, cool. So, that's actually the space where we do small, so I share the studio with 3 others. It's not all mine. Here we do little models because, if I work with 4.50 meters, I need to try out first if the material works. And so, yes, it's like playtime here. And then we do some tech drawings. And out of that, I can work in a big space. Then we have here kind of storage, a lot of lamps. So at the moment, we do have 60. And yes, our materials are basically electrical stuff here. And that's the other space. So then, and this space is Matti space. Hi, Matti. And there we have a kitchen, and behind there is the bathroom. And these are some tests I'm doing right now. So I'm interested in surfaces and reflections at the moment. So I'm testing a lot. If I can draw also with lights. And that's the first test of a big thing. And I hope it works out. Maybe you can see it. I don't know if it works through the camera, but the idea is if I move, then the image should move, or all of us should see something differently through moving the image. So it's kind of that game. Yeah. And I tried the same with white. Doesn't work so well. And that's something what I did like in a huge scale. So that's then the idea. Yeah, that's my work.
Cool. Cool. Thank you very much. It looks like you have this like playground to just experiment with.
Yes, that's my paradise here.
Has it been, I mean, how has it been to have this space during lockdown? Presumably a nice little like haven away from everything else.
I mean, for me, it was like really, I was so happy to have this space. I mean, there was also this sadness of being alone while I'm used to exchange with other people. So I had to play on my own here, but I also discovered it was very nice to rethink all my material, like to really get more into it, like to my inner voice, let's say. And I think that was pretty cool for me.
Mm.
It was very helpful to have all this space. to create.
Yeah, cool. I wondered whether, being that the current exhibition in Green Hill Gallery, I think is, am I right in saying that it's closed doors, right?
I think you can make like personal appointments to
Okay.
enter the space. And there is also this nice window, like Alice said, I appreciate that a lot if I just walk through the city and I see something in a window, some artworks, it's so refreshing.
Sure.
I think this concept also works in the Kulturschöpfer gallery very well.
Yeah, I guess that was my my question or concern, was whether you think that how much was lost in not being able to experience the work personally or physically.
I think with the cone, it also works well if you see it from the outside. And I also think it interacts super nicely with all the other works inside of the group exhibition. That was a big surprise for me. And yeah, I think for the bigger version, it's really needed to be in the installation, because otherwise you can, I don't know, you have to experience it also. Yeah, what is this space and what is this time? That's very important.
Sure.
So the big one wouldn't work by just seeing it as a display. Yeah.
And so the title of the exhibition, I think at the moment in Green Hill Gallery, is Identity, Connectivity and Community, right? Do you feel like your work connects mostly with one of those themes, or with all of them?
I think with all of them. So the one thing is that it picks up especially on last spring. And where I was like busy with these questions, like where do I stand at the moment? And so very personal and basic questions. And yes, I wanted to also give other people a bit of space to reflect on that. Connectivity and community, I felt like also during this time, without my network, without my friends and colleagues, it would have been terrible. So I think all this community living is so important.
Yeah, I think that somehow the three most sort of pressing questions or issues for most people right now, who are, you know, probably suffering from daily existential crises about their identity, community, and ability to connect with anyone else around them. So yeah, yeah, thank you very much.
Yes.
Please, everyone, give Sandra a round of applause. Thank you very much for sharing your work and your space. I have a bunch of questions, but would anyone else like to fire a question towards Sandra, or if you have any comments about her work or her studio, or the exhibition currently in Green Hill Gallery, let me know. You can, maybe a good way is to put up your hand, or put up a digital hand, and then I can and then you can ask a question. Oh, hello, A. Rachel.
Yeah, Sandra, thank you so much for sharing your work. I love did you call them light drawings? That black piece with the light reflected on it?
Yes.
I just wanted to say I found that really, really beautiful and would love to see that in real life. And I was just curious, how did you get into working with light? Like, what was the initial inspiration or journey that led you to working with light?
That's a time travel back. I think it started all in 2002 or 2003, where I worked in a field of performance art which I still do, mostly with choreographers, because there I have the freedom to create. And as I work with electricity, I need I need all these electrical systems actually. And if I work in big scale, I have the freedom there to collaborate with them. So yes, actually it started all with the field of performance art to discover all these different kinds of light sources and variations of it. And with fluorescence, I do work since 2006, like with single ones, and with this kind of source, I work since 2015. But they're kind of dinosaurs because we are all switching now to LED. So means I'm actually trying to find them because people just want to get rid of it. And I try to collect them basically and to repair them and to recycle them.
Oh, that's so interesting to think about, that this particular form of light might become extinct.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I was also curious to find out why you had like hundreds of tubes, but I didn't want to ask.
Yeah.
Sandra, do you actually have a shot of the Green Hill Gallery exhibition with your work in it that we could?
Oh.
I'm trying to look.
Now you got me.
Okay, I've sprung on you.
But
Online, because there might, I thought there was one from.
yes, I have one, and we can try to share the screen.
Because I think we need to see. I've of course, already seen it, but I think maybe we don't have a sense of scale of like how impressive this piece is in context.
Let's see if I. Super. Yes, that's it. So, yeah, it's 2 meter 10 high, and it's more or less 1 meter 20, let's say, wide. And I think it's massive because of the whole construction. It's all made of steel. Yeah, and I was not interested in hiding all these technical structures. I also tried to make it even more visible how much cables it needs and the weight of it. Actually, it's quite heavy. So, yes.
Yeah, cool. And this is the little sister.
The little sister, yes.
Yeah, it's so very, very impressive to be near it and to feel it, especially in a dark space, and to feel the presence of the light, and as you say, to feel the weight of it. It had a very like impactful feeling just being around it. Yeah, if anyone is ever passing by Green Hill Gallery, which is on Grünberger Straße in Friedrichshain, I encourage you to go and check it out, or book an appointment if that's possible. Totally go and check it out. Does anyone else have any questions or comments for Sandra? Last opportunity to raise your digital hand. Then cool, thank you very much. Sandra, are you working on any new projects coming up?
So it's the one I showed you. That's my new research. So I hope it's gonna be on show soon.
Nice. Thank you very much. Everybody, please give Sandra a round of applause. Thank you for your time and for sharing your space. We are now going on to our last artist, Phoebe Kim.
Can I ask something? Sorry.
Oh, yes, a last minute question.
Yeah, sorry. I was just stalking your Instagram. I saw there's this work with this thing. Shit. This plastic bag. There's something blowing inside.
Air. It's just air.
It's not like any installation or.
I mean, that's something what comes up in August, which I researched with a friend of mine and choreographer Mila.
Ah.
So we will hopefully show it outdoor somewhere.
Hmm.
And this is the small test of it. But yes, I did the test here in a studio and it already filled out the whole space. So we have to look for something bigger to try it out. But
Yeah.
that would happen in August, hopefully, like
In a public space.
in a public space, and also together with one performer, and also with a composer. So this,
Ah,
I hope it's happening, and we can invite people for it. That would be wonderful.
looking forward.
Yeah, cool insight.
Oh, I want to check this out now. Maybe I'm going to do it after we session. Yeah, once again, thank you very much, Sandra. Yes, we're going to go on to our third and final artist, who is Phoebe Kim. Once again, it's an opportunity. If anyone needs to top up their gin and sodas, please do that. And yes, Phoebe Kim. Phoebe was. She answered the open call for this online session, and once I saw her work, immediately liked it, and felt like it connected really well with our themes of identity, connectivity, and community. I don't want to say too much about her work, but yeah, she has lots going on, and please, everyone, give Phoebe a round of applause.
So hello. How do I start? So I'll kind of tell your like intro me first, and I'll show you what's behind me. So basically, I am Australian. I've been in Berlin since last September. I've actually lived in Berlin back in 2017. I did a residency at the time, and then I went back to Australia for 2 years, and then I came back during the pandemic. Yeah, so that's that. And I'm Australian, but it's my ethnicity is Korean, so I am Korean Australian. And I actually I have a Bachelor of Visual Arts I did in Sydney, and I graduated around in 2017. So all my like life, I guess I will always be very fast. I haven't spoken in so long because I live by myself. I can't speak English today. I need to meet people. Okay, so I've always been fascinated by like people's eyes, like noses, the way how big people's eyes are, or how like the shape of people's noses. So I've always been like really fascinated in this, in just people in general. And a lot of my works were like a few years ago were all like black and white and just very simple line drawings. And this developed over time, and I now draw more like figures of in painting. Yeah, so that's that. And so I grew up a lot. I grew up struggling a lot with identity, especially cultural identity. And it's all these questions of like, who am I, or why do I do what I do, and like, why do I look like this, or like, you just keep looking for like a sense of belonging in like community, or just anywhere in general. You just have this emptiness of like, you don't really belong anywhere. And so I think it's just it's like a whole process where you can't really pinpoint like identity to one answer. So as a woman, I've always been like, I've always seen harassment on the streets, and I've also experienced harassment, but also I've experienced racism, and that's a big topic of my current works. And this was like simply because of the way I look. And a lot of the times you just walk away from it, you just kind of like shrug it off, and you're like, yeah, whatever, and you just keep your head down low. Like that's usually the general gist. And sometimes people are just like throwing stuff at you, and then they're just like yelling really inappropriate things because of the way you look, and nobody really taught me how to fight back in that sense. And so I struggled with this a lot because I couldn't really like, I don't know how to react. Like, am I meant to be more violent and aggressive and, you know, fight back? Or, and it's just like some of these situations would be like, you know, like you walk down the street and I saw like a car that would just stop by, and then they would like roll down the windows, right? It's like a really old car. And there's just there's like teenagers in this car, and they're just like, so all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, they're like ching chang chong, and then they like throw rubbish, and you're like, what? Or like there's like times when like little kids would like they would like run by, and then like maybe they'll pull their eyes and kind of mock me because I'm Asian, and like, you know, you're meant to have small eyes, and I would be like, I couldn't say anything to these kids because they're kids, and then their father would come by, and I would assume the father would, you know, apologize, but he actually did the same thing, and I was like, whoa, like what did I do? And yeah, so it's like, what do you like, what do you do with this? Like, do you tell people about it? Because I couldn't tell my parents about this, but this wasn't like a conversation starter either with my friends. It's not something you like brag about, or it's just, they just kind of stay low and just, it's like whatever. But I became really used to this because, you know, you just grow up like this and you think racism is just very normal. It's just very normal to me because it happens all the time. So for me to question this was very like, yeah, whatever. But I think I started questioning why people did that. Like, why am I always being a victim to something? Like, why are they thinking that like I should be the alien in this society? So I was questioning a lot about this, and yeah, so a lot of times, like, people also ask, because in Australia as well, people would just come up to me and be like, they'll like listen to me speak, and they'll be like, hey, how come you don't have an Australian accent? Like, how come you don't have an Asian accent? And I was just like, oh, like, I don't know. I can't explain where I got my accent. I just, you know, I mix things here and then. I hear things, and, you know, and people want to categorize you into like a certain thing. And so they question things sometimes. And when you answer, that answer is sometimes wrong to them, even though it's my answer. It's like they already have a given answer to their questions. So the question is, why are you questioning something that you already have an answer for? Yeah, so there obviously there are people who are genuinely like curious, and sometimes their questions may seem ignorant and could appear racist, but a lot of the times, sometimes it's just very blunt and it's just pure racist. So I started painting these figures that I'll show you later, and just really thinking about this, like this identity, like, you know, where do I stand? Because the funnier part is, so in Australia or wherever I am, that people always ask, where you from? And I'll be like, oh, I'm Australian. And they'll be like, no, Australians don't look like you. And I'll be like, oh, okay, well, my ethnicity is Korean, but, you know, I identify myself as Australian. And the most intriguing part is I go on a holiday to Korea and I speak Korean, and then they'll be like, oh, where are you from? Like in Korean. And I'll be like, I'm Korean. And they're like, no, you're not, like, you're a foreigner because you're Korean, so like it's not fluent enough to be a native. And so I stand in this, like, you know, weird middle of, like, you know, I go to Korea and I'm not Korean, and then I go to Australia and I'm not considered Australian. Like, where do people want me to be? So a lot of my works talk about this, like my personal experiences of like what I faced, and it just tries to question the motive underneath why racism like exists. And like, I think I've come to the conclusion that you know, racism happens because they don't think they're like you know, what do you call it? Like they don't know. I think that's the thing. Like they don't know. They think that like they're too different, so that people think. Let me reword my phrase. But I feel like racism happens because they don't seem to know. They want to be different, like they see you as different. But then sometimes some people are just ignorant to that point, but some people just purely just don't know. And so what they say just has, is just, they don't know what they say actually means sometimes. So it could be that they could just say something, but this could be taken into something as very offensive or very inappropriate to that context. And that's purely understandable. But so my works are generally just really trying to raise awareness of, the racism that still exists in our society today, where we're in a very globalized world where people are just moving everywhere, and people could identify themselves with like 5 different cultures or different, like wherever they grew up from, or if they travel again and like they and migrate somewhere else, then they could identify themselves into that culture. But I think overall, it's so hard to simply answer where you're from with one phrase to people who are, just so diverse. And so I really like challenge my audience to kind of question what they say and why they say it. If it's out of pure intention, that's a total different story. But I kind of target these people who are a bit more, might lack the understanding of like, maybe that they have questions with their own answers to. So then the question is why you're already asking something that you're going to oppose against to my answer. So that's kind of like my works that I've been like doing the past few years. I've always been into painting, so yeah, I'll show you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Of how you got here.
Behind story.
I would love to see your work and see your studio.
So I have a very small space. So this is a painting I'm currently working on. It's not done yet. This is more of like the current situation that I wanted to express. It's people wearing masks, but they're all like interpreting like that law differently when like the pandemic happened, and people are like, oh, we have to wear a mask now, but everyone's kind of wearing it all differently. So that's kind of the idea behind this piece. It's kind of hard showing it on the computer.
No, I got it. We can see it.
Okay. Because I can't really see the camera. But yeah, this is. So I have a lot of sarcastic works. So this one, for example, she's kind of got a dilemma face, kind of thinking not really. This piece is actually called I'm Australian, full stop, but what Asian are you? I get this asked all the time when people are like, oh, you're Australian. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And they're like, no, but what Asian are you? And I'm like, oh, like what, okay. But it's just a very like sarcastic approach of like, I don't know, do I really want to think about that? Do I really want to answer your question? So that's kind of that piece. This is actually more of a recent work. It's called Tell Me Why This Is Oak. So I think I've seen this happen a lot on the streets, but recently, I think it was maybe a few months ago, I saw a trend, and it was apparently a makeup trend. And it was, when I looked at it, it was very offensive because they are clearly like emphasizing the slit eyes, but they called this the fox eye trend. It was very viral on TikTok as well, like pulling the eyes. But I was like so shocked about this, and people didn't seem to understand why it was offensive. But like people are like, it's just like a fox eye trend, it's just a makeup thing, and like you just look nice like this. And I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense, because like I grew up like with like kids pulling eyes at me just for fun, and that's how people make a joke out of it. But for this to become like a global trend was a very like, wow, like people need to rethink about this. Like people just didn't seem to understand. So that was the work I did. And the other two, this one's a semi self-portrait, I would say. It's called Her. So yeah, it's just self-explanatory, I guess. And this one's called Overcoming Fear. Yeah, so these are kind of the works I work with. Mainly people. I just want to apologize in advance. I haven't actually spoken this whole day, and I feel very like dry. You know what I mean? Like if you haven't like talked in like the past 24 hours, I just feel like everything's cranked up and I talked really fast, but I hope you understood.
Good. I understood everything. That was perfect. Thank you. Although earlier on when you were getting stuck on like fascinated, it sounded like vaccinated. You're like
Yeah, fascinated. I could do it so well.
Vaccinated for like 3 years. I was like, oh my God, well done. Congratulations. You beat.
Well prepared.
That was really cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, please everybody give Phoebe a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you for showing us your work. Thank you for showing us your space.
I just need to add, if anyone is in Kreuzberg tomorrow, I have an exhibition planned. It's like an exhibition that's not in the usual white cube. And basically a friend and I, we were like sitting down during this lockdown, and we just keep seeing this lockdown being extended for like the third, fourth time. And, you know, the galleries were still closed at that time. So we decided just to reach out to like a local cafe, which I live in Pankow, but this is in Neukölln, in Kreuzberg. And we reached out to them hoping to support the business. So we've partnered up with them for tomorrow between 4 and 7 p.m. in Plan Cafe. It's very close to the river, Plan Cafe. And basically we're exhibiting our works on takeaway coffee cups. So, you know, people don't actually go and see the exhibition. It's more like come grab a coffee and take it in with you. But we'll have 10 different works stuck onto the paper cups, so you can like see the work and take it home. And we're offering free complimentary coffee. So that's how we're supporting their business. And you're supporting us by coming to see the work. But yeah, so we have that planned for tomorrow if anyone's interested, and free.
Cool. Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, please go and check out Phoebe's work tomorrow. Grab a coffee, do the stuff. Yeah, we're gonna link. I'll link everyone's works in here. Actually, 3 artists, Alice, Phoebe, and Sandra. Could you type in your links into the chat so we can all check out your work after we're done? That would be awesome. Yeah, again, thank you, Phoebe. We were having a chat before we started the session, and Phoebe asked about the promoting the exhibition tomorrow, and I'd seen it on Instagram, and I thought it was a really good idea. I love all of these really innovative ways of displaying art right now, and having connecting with people when you know, being in a gallery in person is just not possible. And I'm so impressed by all of these inventive ways, whether it's Alice having a window fenster project, or having art exhibitions on coffee cups. I think it's really clever, and I think the more ideas that come out this time like that, the better. Yeah, so thank you once again. Does anyone have any questions for Phoebe about her work, about her studio, her paintings, her coffee exhibition tomorrow? Comments about questions about her background and her discussion about her experiences in Australia. If you have anything, please, love to hear you. You can put up your your digital hand, do your thing. Maybe while we wait for questions to come in, I would like to say that I, as I said, immediately connected with your work, especially after reading your bio and hearing some of the background about your the experiences that drove a lot of your paintings, because I felt that your work sort of included this level of humor and play into discussions about racism.
For sure.
I found really interesting, and once actually when you were talking earlier, the thing that stuck out to me was you said, was it why do I look like this?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's a question I personally have never asked myself. I've never wondered, and I just think it's such an interesting question. But when I see your paintings, I totally see that. I see that interrogation and that kind of investigation about why do I look like this?
Yeah.
You know? I think that's really interesting.
I think I became more and more sarcastic over time, because like you just get fed up with the questions. So a lot of times I just play along. Like in the very, I guess when you're young, you're just like, oh, don't talk to me, and like, you know, leave me alone. But over time, I just made a really good joke out of it. So like some examples would be, like I was eating steak with my cousin from America, and we're both Korean, but you know, I'm Australian. She's American, and we're having steak at a pub, and we're eating steak. And then this like a group of like elderly people walked by, and they started laughing at us, and you know, we're just eating steak. And they screamed at us, and they were like, you should be eating steak with chopsticks. And I was like, do you think that's practical? like like there's a reason why we're having it with like forks and knives, you know. Or like another time would be like, you know, the usual, where are you from? My mother's room. And they'll be like, what? Because I'm already so done with it that I start to kind of make fun of it. But like, I don't know, I just love the humor behind that. I can make a joke out of it because I can. So a lot of my works are exaggerated to a point that it's humorous, but there is a bit of seriousness to it. Yeah.
How do you compare your experiences in between Australia and living in Germany or living in Berlin?
I think Australians are we're just chill to the point where it's just so easy to talk to people on the street. So I guess I would say, if I was to compare it to my life in Germany, I lived in Dresden as well, in Germany, but overall, if I compare it, I would say I get approached more in Australia directly, because they like talk to you very casually, and it's very normal just to kind of sit down on the bus and just talk to people. Like at the cashier, they'll always be like, how's your day been? Or like, and nobody in Germany really asked how my day's been. So definitely more in Australia, but at the same time, I think Germany is a bit different, but it's more maybe with their eyes. I remember when Corona first kind of boomed, and I was in Dresden at the time. I spent my first 9 months last year in Dresden, and in Dresden there's I would say some Asians, but not a lot, and there's more Germans there. Than Berlin's more international for sure, but Dresden not so much. But I did kind of get like, there's an Asian crossing, a bit like that, treated a bit like I was carrying something, and I'm gonna like plague them all. Wow. But I think there's more like maybe the younger people would be a bit more, maybe have one step ahead. And I was walking in the rain, walking home, and there are these kids, I don't know how old they were. They just looked at me, and we were like 2 meters apart, and he bowed. And he said, ni hao and konnichiwa at the same time. And then I was just so flustered, like at the time. So I bowed too. I was like, ni hao to you too. I'm like Korean, I don't even speak Chinese, but I'm like, and then they start laughing, and I start laughing at them, and then it was just like, okay, well, whatever. Just kept walking. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, is it an effective? It sounds like a coping mechanism. You know, you're using humor, or you're using sarcasm to kind of turn it around. Does it work? Do you feel like it's an effective tool or a therapy?
I think a lot of the times people are surprised because most of the times when people are like shouting at you or like, I think I was in the Netherlands and there was two guys on a bike and they just circled around me and my friend and they were just saying like really just like the usual "ni hao, konnichiwa, go to your country" and all that. And they assumed that I didn't speak English. So I actually yelled at them and I was like, "Fuck off." And then they were like so shocked. And then they like got out their bikes and they came to apologize. And I was like, oh. I think because a lot of times when people are like just saying stuff at you, they don't expect them to reply. They just think you'll just walk away. So I think it catches them off guard if you reply to them. And then for them, the people that I spoke to, we actually ended up spending like maybe 2-3 hours near the river just chatting away. And they're like, oh, you know, we just assumed you were Asian, like a normal tourist. But I was like, no, we're Australian. So I kind of, I did not educate, but I informed them that, you know, not all Asians mean they're not going to speak, they're not going to play dumb and they're not going to like not speak English. Like, yeah, and we became friends after that. But yeah, I think people just become a bit more aware if you like talk back that, you know, people are people and they're going to have like, people are going to fight back. They're not always just going to be like, oh, and walk away, which normally sometimes people would do, but it's nice to show them a different kind of approach.
Sure. Well, I was going to say, these guys in their response, they just assumed that they assumed you were Asian and a tourist, and therefore that was okay. Like that's an acceptable response because you're a tourist, but because you understand the language, it's suddenly not, which is super interesting.
Yeah.
But I think it sounds like you're exceptionally tolerant.
I think I'm used to it now. I think that's the sad part is that I'm used to it. And I developed a tolerance for it. Yeah. But I think like with recent events, I'm not sure if you've seen like within Atlanta in America, and like a lot of now there's a bigger awareness. I guess people are seeing it a bit more, and then I've had people like tell me, "Oh, I didn't know Asians got hated on. I thought they were just, you know, Asian, and nobody really cares." You know, because we had the whole BLM movement last year, which is really big. And I really was like, wow, because there's just so many stories, but I feel like it's the Asian hate, like, or the very natural Asian kind of discrimination that happens is very unheard of. And so a lot of people were very surprised when like, oh, it's just 5 people died, you know. But when I heard that, it was more like I was kind of used to it. It's like it wasn't too much of a big deal. A lot of people did make a big deal out of it. I mean, it is definitely a big deal. Don't get me wrong, but people were just very surprised that Asians were a victim to racism. I think that was the part that concerned me. Was like, oh, like I thought it was normal.
Yeah. So we have a question from Lainey, fellow Australian.
Yes, I have a question. First of all, I love your artwork. It's so cool. And I feel like I can really get like your perspective on how you view people. Like it's very interesting to see that. But I was wondering if when you're like with the kind of sarcastic twist on everything, do you feel like that? I'm kind of interested in the process of that. Like when you're painting, is it more how you're feeling and like you're trying to process those, or is it when you're painting, do you feel like you're painting specifically for people to see it, and especially like for people who ask those like ridiculous questions to see the joke of the question that exists? That makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Sometimes I paint exactly how I felt in that moment of time, but there are a lot of incidents where So it kind of varies by painting, but there are some incidents where I wish I said something and I didn't. So I kind of portray that in my painting instead. Yeah. So there is a bit of a birth where at the time it was like I approached it sarcastically, and also I just kind of maybe exaggerated a little bit more in my painting. But also on other times when, oh damn, like I should have stood up for myself, but I did it. And it's just a kind of like, it bothered me. It bothers, like sometimes, obviously, like, you know, when people are saying stuff to you, it does bother you, like it does bother you, and it grows, and it's like, oh damn it, and it's just like a frustration. Like maybe I should have told him, like, don't say that to me anymore, like spoken up basically. And so I kind of just portray that in my paintings as well.
Thank you, and thanks for the question. Yeah, super cool. Does anyone else, any other participants have a question for Phoebe about her work? Feel free to put up your hand. Well, the people have spoken. Phoebe, do you have any other projects coming up after the coffee cup?
Well, the coffee one, I feel like we can extend it, honestly speaking. We are talking with another cafe, but it's still not confirmed. But at the moment, I recently did like a magazine feature in an Australian magazine recently, so I was busy preparing for that. But I mean, it would be nice to share in the next few months. I'm preparing new work, so that talks about the current pandemic. So I would like to hopefully start showing in June onwards. So for now, I just want to create new work because I've only been here for like 14 months, and I left most of my work in Australia. I didn't bring them with me, so it's more focusing, just creating new work and trying to get them out there. But yeah, nothing yet, nothing set in stone. Cool.
Yeah, as I said earlier with Alice, I think if you're even remotely busy right now, I think you're doing pretty well. So yeah, I'm actually really impressed by all three of you that you have really cool things going on right now. Before we wrap it up and say goodbye, please go and check out Alice's Frenster Project at Prenzlauer Studio on Windstraße in Prenzlauer Berg. Go and walk past the window at Grünberger Straße of a Green Hill Gallery, or even better, book an appointment to go and check out Sandra's work in person and see the huge light cone thing. It really does need to be seen in person. It's super impressive. And yeah, you have no excuse not to go and take some free coffee tomorrow and check out Phoebe's work on the cups. Yeah, well done, all three of you, for having found and created or developed or initiated your own ways to share your work right now. I think that's super impressive. And thank you for sharing your works. Thank you for sharing your studios and your spaces with us tonight. Thank you for giving your time, and please everyone give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. We also have a late person coming in. What are you even doing? All right. Yeah, last words from me. Yes, thank you to everyone for joining. I hope it was as interesting for you as it was for me. And yeah, we will hope to continue the Salon as a monthly thing. Long time ago, it was indeed a monthly event. And then, you know, stuff got weird. The world turned upside down, and we're no longer able to have our events in person, of course, in the Wohnzimmer. But we will strive to continue to have artists every month to share their spaces and stories, and maybe in the summer we'll do it outside in a park or something and get clipboards and, I don't know, make a thing of it. Next month, I share the responsibility of organizing events with 2 other people. Next month it will be someone else, but I promise it will be just, if not more, interesting. So please come and check it out then. Thank you again to our 3 artists. Thank you for everyone at home for participating and asking cool questions. And that is a wrap. Cheers, everybody. Enjoy your evening, and goodbye. Bye, everybody. Bye.